Hello, hello, and welcome to Homeschool Moms Unfiltered. I am your host, Megan, and my amazing co host is.
Hey, I'm Amanda.
Hello, and welcome. We are your source for messy, imperfect homeschool support and community. The reality is, we just don't have the energy or the time to put on a perfect facade. The news cycle lately is positively exhausting. We are parenting, we are homeschooling, we are managing logistics of day to day life. Who has any energy left over to pretend that we have it all together and that our days are just positively perfect?
Yeah, not me, not freaking me. And I'm gonna tell you, even if I had the extra energy to create like my IG perfect persona, I would 100% take that energy and channel it into something far more enjoyable than making other people feel inferior and like they can't measure up to my fake image, right? Like, yeah. That said, what is not fake are our core values. So we are a secular podcast. And during this time, shit show, when so many marginalized communities are under attack, we will loudly affirm that we believe Black Lives Matter. It's great that there's a Pride Month and an LGBTQIA plus History Month. I don't know how many posts I've seen so far this month about like, what? They get another one? What happened to June? No human is illegal. Women shouldn't be shamed for taking Tylenol while pregnant when there's literally no scientific data to back up that BS. Autism is not something that we need to cure. And like, just so much more. Healthcare should be a basic human right if all lives matter. And, you're pro-life, you should feed children. I mean, I don't know. We could go on and on, right? Like we could do an entire 1 hour episode of all of the basic human decency things that we believe in that are now like crazy. I'm really loving right now, total aside, but I'm really loving on social media all of the people who are like, yeah, make those Antifa people terrorists. And then they look up fascism and they're like, this can't be the right definition. This means I'm a fascist. I'm not a fascist. Like, actually, yes, you are.
Yeah, yeah, you are, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I can't. I had, speaking of an aside, I had a mini meltdown the other day because in one of the homeschool groups that I'm in, this mom posted a picture of her kids putting things in a blessings box. And it was like, when the Lord blesses you with extra, you should share. And I took a screenshot and I sent it to Amanda and I go, I'm trying really hard not to get kicked out of this group by responding right now. I'm trying so hard. But I'm like, we travel a ton. Amanda and I both world school. My family lives abroad now. There is no other developed country where people have to stop on the side of the road to take canned string beans out of a box to survive. There are government safety nets that are in place in these other developed countries. And I'm like, this person who's posting this picture, which, first of all, if you're doing charity, why are you posting it online? Okay. Step one, so that people can tell you what an amazing Christian you are. Kudos. Number two, I can almost guarantee you, because of course, then I clicked on the person's name and I, did a little thing. I can almost guarantee you this person voted for a party that has stripped WIC, SNAP, health benefits, school lunches, all of this stuff. And I'm like, so you'd like credit for putting string beans in a box on the side of the road when the whole reason we need those things is because you're defunding the societal programs that would fix the need for the thing. I can't. I'm so done. I did respond, but I felt like I shared my response with Amanda. I felt like I walked a nice line. Did I not? I didn't get kicked out.
Yeah, no, I thought it was actually far more balanced than you usually are. So there's that.
Thank you. I really tried hard. So yeah. Oh, but as stressful as life is right now, okay, we are going to aim to provide a refuge from the madness for the next hour-ish. Today, we will be talking about a topic that will hopefully relieve some of your homeschool related stress. We can't do anything about the crumbling democracy piece of it. I mean, aside from making signs and boycotting Amazon. Like there's not a ton we can do. Writing senators, blah, blah, blah. We're doing all that stuff. But your homeschool stress, we can really target today. We can really nail that, I think. So today we're going to be talking about how to get over the nagging feeling that you are not doing enough, that you're failing your kids, that you're screwing this whole thing up. So that's the topic for today's episode. But first, we kick off all of our episodes with an update about our life and our week, part of our keeping it real vibe. Sometimes weeks are just not good, and we will happily tell you that. So, how's your week been, Amanda?
Well, we are about to head home. So by the time you're listening to this, we will be back home we have like a 1.5 week window of time where we get to be home and catch up on life and see friends and do laundry. Oh boy, am I gonna have a lot of laundry to do. And then after that, we were jetting off to see family and hopefully have a really reassuring, affirming experience at the No Kings Part 2 protests. Those are just around the corner. But I'm going to be honest, basically, I'm just like really tired and we are struggling, generally speaking, with the constantly changing locations. Like Meagan said, we do like part-time world schooling. I say we do part-time because I have a lot of medical problems. I have a big team of medical specialists in Southern California. So I have to be home and at my home base fairly often for appointments and medication refills and things like that and testing and what have you. But we have been in Cabo for a few weeks and we had some other stuff earlier. And then, yeah, we're home for like a week and a half and then we're back on the road. And then we're home for another week and a half and then we're back on the road. And then we're home for like 2 weeks and then we're back on the road. And it all seemed like a great idea when I booked it. But the
Yeah.
reality is it's for us, it's a new school year. We use this charter system in California. So we have a teacher. And so every time we're back home, we're having to squeeze in meetings with the teacher and just trying to find like it's just hard. The kiddo's officially a middle schooler, so there's more expectations for what he has completed and actual worksheets and things that we have a new teacher. We're trying to break in a new oversight teacher. And so we're like, yeah, we're just on the struggle bus. It's a new stage of life and it will be fine, but the constant changes have made it really hard for us to settle into a good routine and rhythm that works. And I'm really ready for this quarter to be over. I've talked before about how we usually tweak each quarter, and I don't even know how we would begin to tweak because we've yet to have 3 weeks of all the same thing, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know how we would even have any idea what needs to change. But yeah, it's life is not so easy over here. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, how about you? What you got going?
Yeah, it's been a good week. I mean, I talked in the last episode about our visas came through, and I mean, we've just been hanging our hopes on visas coming through for so long that like I feel like I have no right to complain about anything. There's some logistics of actually getting that sorted out and whatever, but they are approved. I have worked so hard for so many months on paperwork and logistics and all that kind of stuff, so I can't complain. I have been using my time in the United States to watch the Outlander prequel, which I'm pretty excited about. Blood of My Blood. It's on Stars. It's not yet available in Europe. It'll come, but it's just delayed. So I was like, if I'm going to the US, I'm watching Blood of My Blood. So I downloaded them all so that anytime I have a little pocket of time, I pick up an episode. And so far, it's pretty good. I am a huge Outlander fan. I prefer the books over the TV show. Seasons 1 and 2 of the TV show were great. Then it really went downhill. Blood of My Blood is not based specifically on the books. It's an imagining of the prequel. So I feel like I can be free to enjoy it a little bit more because I don't have to sit there and be like, this is not how it went in the book. Stop fucking up the content. So I'm enjoying it. So it's good. I read 2 good books in the last week, which I'm happy about. I was in a little bit of a really like B minus book slump. And so I got to like a B plus A minus book. Like they weren't A pluses, but they were B plus A minuses. I'll take it. So that was good. Our protest got scheduled for Lisbon, which I'm super excited about. I had been looking to see if we were getting a No Kings Day on October 18th. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I'm part of a group called Democrats Abroad in Portugal, and they posted it just today. Ours is called No Tyrants Global Day of Defiance. So it's not No Kings Day Part 2. I don't know why, but I will be there and I will have an amazing sign. I just found a couple of signs the other day, like on people's threads and stuff. I have the little Pinterest board of signs, so I might change up my sign for this one. We shall see. So that's good. I've got that scheduled. And we've talked on the podcast numerous times about our overall boycott of Amazon, unless it's like absolutely necessary. And I will say I ordered 2 things on Amazon while I'm here because my time is short. So I can't order from a supplier that's going to take X amount of time. I have to be able to bring stuff back to Portugal. But I ordered the goopy stuff that you can run across your keyboard and it picks up like crumbs and lint and stuff from your keyboard. And I'm so excited. It should be here by the time we're done podcasting. So I'm going to go defunk my keyboard and I can't wait. It's going to be so satisfying. And then my friend has this thing. It's like, it's a kitchen gadget. So it's got a handle and a long stem stick type thing. And then on the bottom, it has this like windmill looking contraption on the bottom of it. And she showed it to me and was like, this thing is great. And I was like, what is it? It's for making ground meat so that you can break apart the ground meat because it has all these little spoke things to do. I live for ground turkey breast, but there's like no fat in ground turkey breast. And so it doesn't break apart really easily like a ground beef would or something like that. And so I had to order. I couldn't help myself because I live for ground turkey. So these are like the small joys that are holding me right now in a world that is an absolute disaster. I'm taking small little moments of joy where I can.
Totally fair. Say it's an interesting point about changing it to No Tyrants Day because, in fairness, there are several kings and queens and princesses and yada, yada, yada in Europe, and they're not really bad for the most part. They're kind of like figureheads. Most of the royal families in mainland Europe are less involved than like in the UK. I can see it like I think Norway and Denmark. There are quite a few kings that are pretty chill and laid back, it seems, and maybe just mostly help with tourism as people go to look at their castles and stuff, I guess.
Hmm.
So yeah, maybe that's why the focus is on no tyrants. So Europeans can get behind it without it seeming like
Right.
there's more going on. Yeah,
Treasonous.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. That would be a great unit study, deep dive, random kind of thing to do some research on and look at, like which
Hmm.
ones actually bring money in and how much power each one has in each country.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, today's episode. Have you ever worried that you're not doing enough? Because if you haven't, I don't know. Are you breathing? Have you ever worried that you're going to fail your kids or that you are failing your kids or that maybe you're just completely fucking up this entire homeschool thing? I think I think every parent. I wish this was one of our live calls so I could be like, put your hand up if you've never felt any of those things. I'd be so curious if there was someone that's like, yeah, I've always known I was doing amazing. Or maybe you're considering homeschooling and these feelings, these concerns are part of the reason why you haven't taken the plunge yet. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We talk a lot about being like this imperfect source of homeschool advice and that we don't want to ever show up and make people feel bad about themselves, seeming like we have it all together and all this kind of stuff. And on the regular, we do probably sound pretty confident about our homeschooling. I mean, we have a podcast, so like I should hope so. But I think it's important to point out that we've been doing this for a really long time. And so, yes, we have gained a tremendous amount of confidence. But I think some of the things that you just talked about, I had complete flashbacks while you were just talking to the beginning where I was like, I mean, even just committing to sending the notice of intent. And I mean, I remember one night just talking in a hamster wheel in bed with my husband. And my husband finally went, are you afraid you're not going to be good at this? Because he goes, I have every confidence that you're going to be good at this. Just do it. He was like, stop talking about it already, you know?
For the love of all things, stop talking and just do it.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you're going to be fine. Do it. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I mean, on the regular, we do show up and sound pretty confident. But first of all, I think we still have feelings like this from time to time as we enter different segments, whether it's, sending them off to college or Amanda just started middle school with her kiddo. So there are these kind of moments where things shift and change. And you're like, I hope we're ready, or I hope I'm doing this okay, and all that kind of stuff. But also, we did not have this level of confidence 5, 8, 10 years ago. So please do not ever walk away from our episodes with that. They've got it all together. And I am just flailing over here. We did not have it all together at the start. I can speak for myself. Did not have it all together. Changed approaches 101 times, stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m. So, yeah, it's okay. And I think that's the key is knowing that that feeling is typical. I'm not a fan of the word normal, but go ahead and use normal if that makes it make more sense in your head. But that is a very typical feeling. It is true that almost every single homeschool parent wrestles with this nagging doubt, and it may ebb and flow, and it may be absolutely paralyzing some days, and other days you're feeling like, okay, I've got this. And then it comes back again when you least expect it. But I think the key is the fact that you're even worried about being enough for your kids or doing enough for your child means that you are doing enough. Parents that don't give a shit, parents that are disengaged are not losing sleep over this stuff. So the fact that you are worrying already is step one. I'm not saying worry more because the type A's, right, would be like, I'm going to worry even more then to make sure I'm doing a great job. So the fact that this has crossed your mind, that this is something that you're focusing on, the fact that you're sitting here listening to a podcast about homeschooling, okay, to learn and to grow and to build community and to build your confidence tells us that you are a caring, dedicated parent and you have got this. So maybe reframe the doubt or the worry that you have as not that you are failing your child, but that you care deeply about your child's education. And there is nothing wrong with caring deeply about your child's education. We're thrilled that you do because they're our babies. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, no, for real. Okay, so practically, we can all agree, yes, it's normal. Let's normalize this. It's typical, whatever word you want to use. We're all going to agree that basically everyone, again, I said it last episode, I'll say it again this episode. As soon as I say everyone, someone will be like, I never worried. And then I'll be like, of course you didn't. But pretty much everyone has worried at some point about whether or not they're doing this whole parenting thing wrong. And if you worried about whether or not you were doing the parenting thing wrong, you're surely going to worry about whether or not you're doing the homeschool thing wrong. And yeah, I mean, once you get past that and just accept like, well, this is just, it's okay. This is standard. This is like, the standard operating procedure. You have to go through this step. Some practical things you can do to help with that. One would be to just track progress in visible ways. We talk about this a lot of times when we're having our coaching calls with people. Don't make extra work for yourself. We're never going to be fans of like, hey, you should do more work than you need to because you've got so much free time. But that said, you can easily track work samples in a binder or a portfolio. And it's not about making your kids do extra work. You're going to collect random writing samples. Maybe you played restaurant and they created a menu so you could order. And when you're done playing, instead of recycling that paper, stick it in a folder. And then the next time you do it, stick the next one in the folder, maybe write the date on the back of it so you know. And at some point, you're going to be able to pull one out and be like, look at how cute it was, the way that they spelled baguette. And then, like, oh, they don't spell it that way anymore. They got it right now. Or, like, the prices are completely crazy on this one. And then, like, they're far more realistic. Like, that's growth. You can do the same thing with artwork. You can do with, maybe science journal pages if you're doing that, or maybe you did have some kind of a science worksheet. If you are doing a more traditional sort of thing where maybe you've got math tests or math worksheets, you don't have to stick all of them. Maybe once a month, stick one in a folder, make sure you put the date on the back of it. So at some point you can come back and pull them out and see the improvement. You can actually visibly see, oh, they did improve from here to here. This is working.
Hmm.
Another thing you can do is like photos and videos. Snap pictures of projects, experiments, or field trips. If your kids are into presentations or read alouds, you can take videos of those and kind of put together a highlight reel of learning. You could give that to your kiddo to do, and they can practice video editing skills and fun things like that.
I love
Um,
that.
I have a friend who does a homeschool annual picture book every year, and it's projects that they did and field trips they did and friends they hung out with. And it's just kind of a a way that they can go back and look at the fun things that they did throughout the year. But it also helps her really feel good about what they did. And if she's having a moment of like, oh my gosh, are we doing enough? She can go back and over the years, she's got several years worth of these photo albums now. And it's a great way, if you I tried to do something like that. I completely fell off. I haven't done any since like 2017. I'm not good at the annual photo book, but if that's something that you can do, by all means, put it together like that.
Mhm.
You can do progress charts or checklists. Again, not for micromanaging because nobody needs extra work, but for visualizing growth, for just helping you know where you're at. I know I've talked about this before, but I have really bad brain fog. And I still obviously choose to homeschool, and we are aggressive academic homeschoolers. So I put together this really intense year-long lesson plan thing so that I have an idea of which units we're doing each week and just what books I need and all of this kind of stuff. And I do it when I'm in a good headspace. That way, when I have really bad weeks, I can go back and look at it and just be like, oh, this is what I need for this week. I don't have to try to think of it. I don't have to try to recall it. It doesn't matter if my brain is working as well as it should be or not, because I have all of that information there. But it also serves as a way to be able to go back and like, oh no, we totally covered that this year. We did learn this like years ago. Why am I freaking out about the fact that like maybe we didn't? Like, no, we did. It's fine. Like we did it, we
Mhm.
covered it. I'm going to put this out there. It doesn't work for everyone, but for some people, you might even find comfort in going back and looking at grade level standards for the previous year. And you will most likely be pleasantly surprised to find that you covered all of the things that are in there that you actually think are important. You might not have covered everything in the grade level standards because let's be real, there are plenty of things in the grade level standards that you're like, I don't think so, especially if you're a progressive decolonized homeschooler. But you can go back and look at the things from the year before and truly you'll be like, oh yeah, we naturally talked about that or we just covered that without, or yeah, of course my kiddo knows how to do those math things, those math skills. There are lots of ways that you can track your progress and it can be visible, it can be more mainstream and standards aligned. It doesn't have to create extra work though.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I do the annual photo book, by the way, but ours isn't a homeschool book because we unschool, so homeschooling is life. So it's just a life book for the year, but I started it when my kids were really young because I had 3 kids in under 4 years, and the first kid had, like, a quarter of a completed baby book, and the second kid had a purchased baby book that I think I wrote her name in, but then never did anything else with, and the third kid never got a baby book, and I had some guilt about the lack of baby book situation, so that was, like, my way of doing it. And I will say, if you're working on a traditional school year calendar and you want it to be like a 3rd grade book or a 4th grade book or something, this won't help you. But if you're doing it on a calendar year perhaps, or just a cyclical thing, the photo books from Shutterfly are dirt cheap Black Friday weekend. They're always like 75% off. So I always build ours that weekend, and then the kids get it in December at the end of the year. So anyhow, but I do like the photo book. It's pretty fun. So yeah, the other thing, I love all of those suggestions, but I think the other thing too that's kind of rampant in your suggestions there is the fact that you're zooming out on the progress and the learning. I know for me, my kids are older now and sometimes they travel independently, especially my oldest kiddo. My daughter travels independently, but she doesn't grow anymore, so it doesn't apply to her. But my oldest kiddo, he'll go away for a month or for 6 weeks or something like that. And he's 17, almost 18, so he's still growing. And when I see him every day, I don't necessarily notice that he's grown. But when I haven't seen him in 4 to 6 weeks and he comes home, I'm like, holy crap. How do your pants even still fit you? I can see the difference so tremendously because he hasn't been there. And even if your kids aren't traveling independent, maybe they're like going to stay with grandparents for a couple of weeks. And when they come home, you're like, what did your grandparents feed you? So same concept. But I think the key is when you're involved in the day to day, the progress feels really invisible. It feels really hard to see, especially if you've had a couple of rough days or maybe I know when my kids were younger, sometimes we'd get sickness in the house, and it's a multi-kid thing where one kid gets it and it throws the whole house out of whack, and you feel like you might be on the way out, and then the next kid gets it, and then the next kid gets it, and it's like, and then sometimes they give it back to the first kid that had it, and somewhere in the mix you get it, and what is a cold or a sinus infection or whatever turns into 6 weeks of chaos where at the end you just feel like we suck. We've done nothing because we've been so out of sorts for so many weeks. And so when you're in a period like that, zoom out further, zoom out further because it is okay. It is going to be okay. So trying reflections that are like Amanda said, like the annual book, or just even every 3 to 4 months, just kind of looking back and going, okay, what have we done in the last quarter? And maybe jotting down things that your kiddo couldn't do at the start of the quarter, but they can, or things that you were focusing on. Maybe at the start of the quarter, you write down a handful of things that you're like, these are my goals. If we can make a little growth during that upcoming quarter for these things. And then at the end of the quarter, you look at it and you're like, we've done it. We've made progress. He's further ahead with X, Y, and Z than he was at the beginning of the quarter. Something like that might be really helpful in zooming out because the day to day, they don't look like they've grown, but they're growing.
Yeah. And this sounds suspiciously like vision boarding and goal setting to me, Megan.
Sneak it in wherever I can.
But I mean, that for me, that feels overwhelming for me because my brain doesn't work well that way. And with my health, like feeling like I have to try to do things like that or stay on top of it or not miss those, that's stressful for me. So in our family, in our home, it's easier for me to track things kind of daily and to just put it away, file that away. And then when I need to, I can go back and look wherever I want because I know it's there and it's just, and I, most days, not every day, but most days, I know what I did that day. Not most months, that's pushing it. But again, it's that thing. Just do what works for you. Like
Mhm.
Amanda says she does for the whole year. So I've got to try to do that. And it completely stresses you out and it overwhelms you. Like for the love of all things, don't do that. If it stresses you out and overwhelms you, don't do that. I have good reasons for it because I
Mhm.
have found that's a coping mechanism for my health challenges and issues. That's how my brain works. If your brain works better with goal setting and vision boarding, I'll probably give you a hard time the same way I do Megan, but by all means, I'm not going to judge. Go on with your bad self.
And then you come hang out with me and we'll talk goal setting and vision boarding all day long. It'll be great. Okay. Yeah, I love it. All right. So if we're saying this and you're like, I get it, I get it, I get it. Okay. I'm redefining this and I'm a caring parent. I'm not failing and all this kind of stuff. But an hour later, you know darn well you're going to be like, I suck and this is going badly and I'm failing the kids and I'm never going to sleep tonight and all that kind of stuff. Okay. We developed a course called Homeschool 101, the No Panic Boot Camp. In that course, there is a workbook. We cannot recommend this workbook highly enough. You can also just buy the workbook on Amazon, but I'm going to say it goes way better with the course. Just saying. So, within that workbook, you're going to define your goals, your learning strategies, your day to day approach. You're going to go through all these things and you're going to write it down in these journaling activities so that, again, when you're having those rough days, you have this compass, this roadmap that you can go back to, that you can go, nope, I'm right on track. These are conscious, intentional choices that I made at the start of this journey, and I am okay. And then when you hear Amanda say she plans for the entire year, or so and so makes a book for an entire year and does all these things, it's okay because that's not your journey. That's their journey. Your journey is in your book. And maybe sometimes you do hear something and you go, I could easily add that. That would be a great compliment that I just didn't think of before. Great. But it doesn't mean that every time you see what someone else is doing, you're now going to feel inferior or that panic is going to start to rise up again. So there's the Homeschool 101. There's a course about curriculum, which is totally the Amanda show because I don't really do curriculum. I did advance the slides behind the scenes in that course, though, which was a huge contribution, if I do say so myself. And then there's the
Look, those kinds of things totally do my brain in. And she was like, can you do it on your own? And I was like, actually, really, I can't. I'm not going to be able to do this and move the slides. So she downplays it, but it would not have happened without her. So let's be real.
So if you take that class, every time you see the slide advance, be like, oh, she really is good at this. It'll make me feel good. She doesn't know shit about curriculum, but that girl can advance a slide. Okay. We've got a preschool and kindergarten reimagined class, which is huge if you feel like you're failing your kids. Because if you are trying to do age and developmentally appropriate kindergarten and preschool, and you are going to see your social media fill up with all of the people that were pregnant at the same time as you who are doing traditional kindergarten and preschool, which is not age or developmentally appropriate. And you're going to be like, I'm not doing enough. Look at what their kid's doing, and my kid's not doing this. And maybe I should do that. And my mother in law is up my ass because I'm not doing enough. Nope, nope, nope. You've taken the course, you've got a workbook. There's links to studies in that workbook that tell you that this is a great approach, that we know that this is a great approach. And it gives you just that little boost of confidence to know that you've got this. So you will find a link to our courses in the show notes. So if ever you'd like to build that roadmap to give yourself just a little boost of confidence on your homeschool journey, we have got you. And they're super affordable. The most expensive course we offer isn't even $30 US. So we've tried to make it really accessible to anybody who wants to come and take them and grow and gain some confidence. So come hang with us.
I have been targeted recently for a bunch of those courses that are like, take this super affordable course, and it's like $197. And I'm like, I don't know what world you live in where affordable is $200, because by ending it in a seven, it does not distract me from the fact that it's essentially $200. So we really did try to make sure that it's maybe not as cheap as a coffee, but it is the price of an entree at the average American restaurant. Okay, so back to the topic. One thing, if you're really struggling with this, even if you're not really struggling, but you keep kind of circling back to this, like, am I doing enough? Is to take the time to redefine what enough is. In your world, is enough finishing every page in a curriculum? Because if it is, maybe it's time to rethink that. Who said that you needed to do every page, page by page in your curriculum? Maybe enough is doing however much you need to be sure that your kiddo understands and then
Mhm.
skipping it. Maybe enough is skipping the units that are just not of interest. Maybe enough is just making sure that whatever you're doing is nurturing curiosity, teaching resilience, and making room for joy and fun in your learning. I would
And
say,
sorry, I was just going to say, my kids went to public school for a couple of years at the beginning, and at the end of the year, they send those workbooks home. They're not freaking done. There's blank pages galore in those books. So you do not need to hold yourself to a higher standard than the thing that society considers the way to get educated. So it's okay. They're not finishing the book either. And they're not skipping stuff because, oh, the kids already, they've got this. So we're going to move on to the next thing. They just didn't get to it. Do not kid yourself.
yeah, no, that is so, so true. We were in a virtual public school for a little while because of the pandemic, and we were doing the workbook at home, and we were making sure that we were doing every page. And I don't know, like halfway through the year, the teacher was like, on the ELA units, we don't do these 2 pages. Like every week, we don't do these 2 pages of writing things. And I was like, really? Hmm. Like, I mean, first off, I think you should be, but second off, I wish we hadn't. So, yeah, there you go. Another thing to do if you're redefining what enough means is really try to shift right from checking the boxes, thinking you have to get through all of it or check everything off, to asking, is my child curious? Are they growing? Are they developing skills that matter? Can I see forward progress? And not every day. Obviously, in an ideal world, you'd see forward progress every day. But in a realistic world, you have good days, you have bad days, you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Is the overall trajectory progress in the direction that you want to go in? Sometimes that is more than enough. Also, and we've talked about this in so many different ways, but highlight the non-academic growth, problem solving, confidence, self-advocacy, kindness. These are all part of the learning picture. And they are taught in schools very poorly, but they are taught in school, and you can do it even better, even if there isn't a check mark on your report card or a nice little box to put your OS or A, B, whatever, system you're using or your school was using. These things are so important, whether you file them under SEL or you file them under life skills or executive functioning skills. I just had an outschool teacher reach out to me to tell me what a good influence my kiddo is in one of her classes. He had switched classes and I knew he was doing well in the first class, but the second class, it's a little bit of a different dynamic and a different teacher. And so I was like not 100% sure how it was going. That message, like, it just, like, I don't know, again, we come on here, we mostly have our crap together, but it does not change the fact that some outside validation can be really helpful. And
Oof.
these days, like these sorts of skills, they matter so much more than ever, I feel like. So focus on them and remember when someone at co-op or another teacher or another parent is like, oh, your kiddo did this life skill thing, or they did this really great thing, or thanks so much to your kiddo for helping with X, Y, Z. Like, take a moment to notice that and be like, yeah, yeah, I did that. Like the way
Mhm.
that we're running our homeschool, the way that we are living our life, like I did that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It feels good when it happens. I like it. Yeah. All right, we have a couple more points for you. We also want to let you know that we are in the midst of a giveaway. We announced it in last week's episode, but it is still going on and there is still time to enter. So we'll be telling you about that in just a few minutes. So stick with us because it is a bundle of a giveaway. It is super exciting. Before we get to that, let's talk about the idea of using community and comparison wisely. Comparison can be your undoing. It absolutely can be your undoing because the thing that people post on social media is the shiny conclusion of the thing. They're not showing you the tears in the day to day, the arguing over the schoolwork or the homework, or rushing to get things done until late at night and then having to wake their kid up early for school the next morning because they're absolutely exhausted because they were up too late last night working on the thing, or how they never eat dinner together because they're scattered in a million directions. Nobody shows you that part. They just show you the kid holding the certificate at the end or the award or whatever it is. So be super careful with comparison. But comparison can be helpful if you have a solid community. P.S. We are a solid community. We hold monthly meetings that tons of people come to, and we talk through what they're doing and how they're doing it, and they can bounce ideas off of each other, and it's supportive, and it's kind, and it's friendly. There's information in the show notes if you'd like to come join our Patreon. So, but if it's not us, find a community. Find a community where you can talk to other parents. And if you're like, I'm doing this, and they're looking at you like, that is way too much. Like, way, way, way too much, right? You're killing yourself for no reason. You're drowning yourself. It's okay. It's like a great permission to be like, oh, okay, I can back off a little bit. Because I am so nervous about failing my child, I am going overboard. So sometimes having that sounding board can be really, really helpful. Another thing, I cannot stress this enough. When you're asking for feedback or help or guidance, ask veteran homeschoolers. I cannot tell you how many times, especially for littles, we see posts that are like, what should I use for kindergarten? And most of the veterans jump in and they're like, play, hands on, play, go to the park, plant a garden, do puzzles, read to them a ton. And then you'll notice the verb tense changes. And it's like, we're using blossom and root. We're using the good and the beautiful, which is not secular. We're using this. They're just as lost as you are. The people that are in the we are category, they don't know what they're doing just yet. They're just as lost as you are. Listen to your veterans for advice. Ask them what they wish they worried about less all those years ago, what fears they had that as they grew on this process, they were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was worried about this thing. Cause there's plenty of that. I have that. Do you have those, Amanda, that you're like, I can't believe I was worried about this?
Yeah, no, and honestly, one of I talking about this, it reminds me in a group that we're both in, I think. I just saw a post that was like, my almost 6-year-old is really struggling with the science curriculum that I got, and they listed a science curriculum that's like a dense, heavy textbook. And I'm like, oh gosh. I remember thinking like, oh, we've got to make sure that we're doing, like his the public school didn't send anything for science or social studies. Like, what are we going to do? We need to supplement this. And in fairness, I am pro supplementing or covering those things at the first and second grade level. I do think that they should be covered, but they don't need dense, heavy textbooks. When it was like, well, for science, for an almost 6-year-old, for the next year, I'd just have fun watching Emily's Wonder Lab and Emily's Science Lab. And if you want to go the next step further, get one of her experiment books or any other kitchen experiment book that blow things up in the kitchen. Not really. When I say blow things up, I mean the baking soda volcano blow things up, right? Like the
Yeah.
Alka-Seltzer tabs and the pop top lid. Like,
Mentos and Diet Coke is where we're at, right?
yeah, and like, not natural gas blow up the kitchen, okay? It's fun in colors, like do, baking chemistry. There's so many fun things you can do. That's all you need to do. But of course, like I put this long thing, and mine's the only like long response of like, hey, keep in mind, keep it fun and this and that. And just remember, like later in elementary school and in middle school, you're going to cover all the exact same things with a little bit more depth. And then in high school, you're going to be expected to cover literally all of the same topics again in more depth. So just keep it fun and make sure that they think, oh, science is fun and interesting. That's what you're
That's
going
the
for.
goal.
Yeah, that's what you're going for at that age. And then it's again, like I like Book Shark, I like Blossom and Root, I like, the good and the beautiful always comes up, even though it's not secular. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, I like this textbook series. I'm like, oh gosh, like, oh,
Yeah.
eh,
Yep. Yep. I'm with you. I'm right there. The other thing when it comes to community and comparison is there are people that see your kid in action day to day. There are people that you hang out with at the park for your play groups. There are nature groups that you're hanging out with. There's co-ops that you're in. There your kids on a swim team, your kids in Girl Scouts, whatever it is, okay? Those are the people that see your kid day to day. Those are the people that see your kid interact organically in an environment that is natural to them. They're the ones that are seeing your kids evolve because they're seeing them at a regular cadence. Okay. When your nosy Aunt Trudy is like, she should be doing this, or I can't believe he's not doing that yet. Like, I'm sorry, but no. Okay. This person has no frame of reference. They're not seeing your kid in an environment that is typical for them, that is routine for them. If you are having doubts, talk to a veteran homeschool parent who sees your kid on the regular and who has experience with this stuff. Aunt Trudy probably raised her kids 45 years ago in an era where she was, I mean, you see those videos on social media where it's like, I want to be an 80s mom. And they're out there with like the mirror under them in the sun and they're like baking themselves in the sun and they're like, make yourself some Kool-Aid. I'm not coming inside. When the kids are drinking out of fire hoses and whatever. I'm not anti drinking out of fire hose. That probably grosses you out, but I'm all for going outside, playing, getting dirty, all that kind of stuff. But so I do have like a little streak of 80s parenting in me, but it's different. And they have no right to chime in on your kid. They just don't. So use the community that you have for feedback, a trusted community. It makes a world of difference.
yeah, no, those are great points. And I think kind of the last point to make on this in general is focus on the long game. Make that the point that you always come back to. Remind yourself that education is not a sprint. We're not sprinting. The skills compound over time, even when the daily lessons feel uneven. Like we said before, the 2 steps forward and 1 step back, that's okay. It's not a sprint. Kids remember experiences, projects, and even conversations much more than they're going to remember worksheets or timed drills or those sorts of things. And so those conversations that build and that add and grow with time, that's what you want to focus on. And then most importantly, remember that consistency, not perfection, builds a strong education.
Hmm. Yeah,
That could almost be our
absolutely.
mantra. We have another mantra for you at the very end, but truly, consistency, not perfection, builds a strong education. That's solid right there.
It is a good one, right?
Yeah.
Bonus mantra.
Mhm.
Okay. So we told you earlier that we have a giveaway going on right now. Super exciting. There's a link in the show notes for you to be able to enter the giveaway, and it has all the details as far as dates and things like that. What are we giving away? Okay. We do unit studies every single month. We put them out for our Patreon subscribers, and then we also have them individually on Teachers Pay Teachers. We have some themed bundles where we've taken 3 of our unit studies. And let me tell you, each individual unit study is like, whew, it's a lot. So we've taken 3 of them and put them together. If you win the giveaway, you get to choose which bundle you'd like. So we have one that's science and survival, for example, and that one is made up of wildlife conservation, women in medicine, and a unit study about potatoes, which is far more interesting than you might think at the surface level. Potatoes have had this massive impact on society as a whole. So there's a lot to know, and it's filled with STEM stuff and history stuff and writing. And I mean, it's pretty interesting if I do say so myself. We get a lot of feedback about that one where people are like, I didn't know there was that much to know about potatoes. There is. We've got civics and social justice, innovation and invention, American history and legacy. And this is not your whitewashed Eurocentric history of America where like the Indians and the Pilgrims sat down and had a friendly meal together. It is not that thing. That is not our jam here at Homeschool Moms Unfiltered. So when we say history and legacy, it is a genuine accuracy history and legacy. We've got STEM and discovery. We've got social justice and human rights. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we've got available that is part of our giveaway. So you get to choose the bundle that you would like when and if you win the giveaway. The other thing that's in there is a new book that I've written and put out called 101 Comebacks to Homeschool Objections. So if you do have people that are all up in your business when it comes to homeschooling, it offers everything from really polite ways to inform them and guide them all the way up to things that are like, because I said so, and they're my damn kids. There's links to studies that are in there that you can use to shut people down. Again, either politely or with a bit of spice. So that will also be part of the giveaway, and we'll link that in the show notes as well. So, yeah, we hope you win. Good luck. Look at the show notes for the details on how to enter, and we'll be picking a winner soon. So, zip on over and fill out the entry form. It's good times.
Yeah, that's fun. We should also think about doing one that's just on our social media, like maybe just do something another one. Maybe we can do the workbook or something like that now that we have, so that you don't have to fill out a form, but just to like, I don't know, ask people to
Oh.
comment on a post or something like that. So yeah, you should go check out the social media and see if we've got something else going on over there. Yeah.
Yeah, find us on
Totally.
Facebook and Instagram. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a fun way because those communities have really grown too, especially over there on Facebook. So yeah,
Mhm.
maybe we'll do something with those. Sorry,
Yeah.
random thought. I was like, just like, oh yeah, we
Give
could
away more things.
do
Come
that.
on, let's do
I
it.
know.
It's like
Yeah,
Oprah. You get a book. You get a book. You get a unit study.
I'm not sure anyone will ever accuse us of being Oprah, but I'll take it. All right. So we like to wrap up every episode with a mantra. We've got your mantra for this week. It is, if you're worrying about enough, that's proof you're present, you're engaged, and you're already more than enough.
Like, right? Like I'm at a book reading or something. Snaps for Amanda.
No snaps for me.
Yeah. Come on. Supportive community is essential to homeschooling. Take it. Okay.
You'll take my support, damn it. You'll
I
like
love
it.
it. Oh, I'm telling you. Well, friends, I hope you enjoy the rest of your homeschool day. You are doing great. We would not lie to you. Okay. And we shall see you next week.
Yeah, have a great one.